Welcome to Lighting for Profits, presented by Emery Allen, with your host, Ryan Lee, your number one source for all things landscape lighting. From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing, we discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What's going on? How you doing? I hope you're doing well. Welcome to the number one landscape lighting show in the world. Granted, it is the only landscape lighting show in the world, but we're here. That's half the battle, is just showing up, guys. And I'm excited. I'm excited for today. Again, my name's Ryan Lee. I'm the host of Lighting for Profits here on Turfs Up Radio, presented by Emery Allen. And I'm super excited for this show. I tell you this pretty much every week, but I'm having a blast doing this. And if you're looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, then you're definitely in the right place. We've got a new expert on every single week. And this week, I'm welcoming the owner of California Outdoor Lighting and Imagine Lighting Co., Anthony Bogdanovich. So I'm really excited to have him on, pick his brain. He's got a lot of experience in the industry. And I'm excited. We were just chatting for a few minutes ahead of this, and I'm excited because there's some people I have on the show which I've literally never met in person or on the phone, and then other people I've talked to and met. And Anthony, I've known him for going on about a year now, and we actually got to hang out for the first time just a couple of weeks ago at the Sterling Lighting event. So that was a lot of fun. And honestly, it's easier for the guests and myself if I feel like we know each other, because we can just relax a little bit and have some more fun. And sometimes I do feel like I get a little too serious, and it's kind of weird because I'm not generally a real serious person. But sometimes in the moment or whatever, I might put that look on. Well, listen, guys, before we get started, I want to thank you guys for your support. Honestly, this is not a thing without you. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for watching, listening, supporting. I'm super grateful for your support. And so I guess before we welcome Anthony on, I want to, actually, I got to mention one thing. So GIE Expo is a landscape expo coming up. And it's also, I don't even know what the difference is. I should have looked this up before, but there's the Northeast Hardscape Expo. If somebody knows, put this somewhere what the difference is, because I feel like it's one show. But anyway, Turfs Up Radio is going to have a booth there. I'm going to be there, and it's going to be sweet. So Darren is putting together what he's calling the time machine. And I don't even fully know what to expect of this time machine, but there is going to be a time machine in the Turfs Up Radio booth. And Heritage Landscape Supply Group, okay, they are helping us put together our booth and everything else. And they have what I've been told, a private concert, which you can attend for free, a private concert during the GIE Expo. It's October something or another, right? So go to their website, heritagelandscapesuppligroup.com. And there's a band that they've paid money called Big and Rich, and they're going to play live for 750 people. They're going to provide free drinks, free food, free music. It's going to be insane. So if you're bored, October something or another, go to heritagelandscapesuppligroup.com, and dude, go be one of the 750 people to get a free concert, private concert for you. So that's pretty awesome. So I think I got that out of the way. Now, I was kind of debating whether I should share this experience, and I'm just going to do it. And I've got to figure out a way to tie it into lighting, because it has nothing to do with lighting. But hopefully by the time I'm done talking, I'll have figured out a way. But recently I felt like I was on an episode of What Would You Do? Have you guys seen that show? Have you seen What Would You Do with Don Quinones or whatever the guy's name is? He, puts people in scenarios and they film them and they put them through these tests to see how they would react. Well, I was camping with some friends, and it's the second annual now Red Fleet Retreat, where we got together with some old college buddies and their kids and our kids, and it was a blast. Okay, we did this last year, we did it this year, and we're camping, and there's a lake, and we're doing all sorts of cool stuff, paddle boarding, cliff jumping, just having a blast. Okay, and it was the very first night. We had just got there. We had just kind of got camp setup and everything. But when I say camp setup, we just got the extender pushed out on the motorhome that we rented. So it was really, hard to set up camp, but we set up a fire, and the motorhome came with a solo stove, which, by the way, badass fire pit, stainless steel. And we get that set up, and all of a sudden I hear some yelling at like another campsite. It's like a state campground. So there's like kind of close proximities, and there's some other campers set up over there. And we hear this guy. And so like our conversation stops. I mean, he was yelling loud enough to really totally stop the conversation. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? And it's like, oh, someone yelling at their kids. Big deal. I was probably just yelling at my kids 5 minutes ago, Well, it became much worse than like, yelling at your kid for a second. It was, this guy, he had his shirt off. It was getting dark. It was actually dark, but he had a light on his place. So I could see his, bulging biceps, if you will. And he was yelling at his kids to the point where I got to get the swear button here. He starts to pound on the trailer that he's got, and his kids are in there, and he's like, shut the up, I'm gonna come in there and you up. He is yelling at them, and there's kids in there, and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, now that I've gone through this and I processed this over the last 3 weeks, I'm like, dude, was I on an episode of What Would You Do? Like, why didn't Don Quinones come out and be like, what were you thinking and all this stuff? But no, I was not on an episode of What Would You Do? It just made me feel like it. So the guy's yelling at him, pounding on the thing, threatening them, like he's going to kick the shit out of them and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm looking around and like, none of my friends are tough, like including me. We're all just like a bunch of weaklings, And I'm like, dang, it would be cool to have like a tough friend here that would just go kick that guy's ass, So no one's doing anything. And I'm like, okay, I can't handle this anymore. It wasn't just like, hey, get in the car, Jimmy. Like it was bad. So I just start marching over there, and my wife's like, Lindsay's like, where are you going? What are you doing? I'm like, I can't just sit here, and I'm like, this all happens quick. I don't know what I'm doing. It's not like I'm going to go fight the guy, I don't know what I'm going to say or anything. And so I didn't realize this, but I was the only one. My friends did not come with me to support me. And I go up, this guy's, got his shirt off. He's sweaty. He's just pounding on this thing. And I'm like, I get up there and I'm like, hey, bud. And I'm just like, okay, is this where I get beat up in front of my friends? Like, what's going to happen? And he turns around and I said, hey, you need any help? And that's all I said. Do you need any help? And I don't know where that came from. I don't know. And he's like, oh, hey man. Yeah, sorry about that. And he just immediately, we come like together. He's like, just instantly started like kissing my ass. I'm so sorry, man. I shouldn't have been doing that. I shouldn't yell at my kids. And like, I didn't really say anything other than you need any help. And he just was like apologetic and everything else. And so we talked for just a few minutes, and I was like, dude, I yell at my kids. I'm not perfect. Like, I'm just asking if you need help, because obviously you're like way out of control. And what can I do to help? Your kid's not like folding up their mattress or their sleeping bag. Like, what is it? And so we talked for a few minutes, whatever. He thanked me. He like gave me a hug, actually. And so it was kind of interesting, because I'm going like, crap, I'm going to get my butt kicked, to now this guy's like thanking me for like calming him down, basically. And anyway, this happened, right? And I was worried, like, what do you go out and like say something to him? Because then later on the kids are going to get their butts kicked because he was embarrassed in front of them, or like, I don't know what the right thing to do in this situation is. What would you guys do? Would you have approached him? Would you have like just gone and beaten him up? Would you have like let your friends handle it? Whatever. And there was people right next to him, literally 10 feet away. And they were just sitting there talking, and they didn't say anything to him either. And they were just super quiet when I was there. So we talked for maybe 5 minutes, and he was calmed down. I said, listen, man, say a prayer, give it some time. Don't go in that trailer until you're calmed down. Okay. They're just kids. Like, I'm sure he didn't mean to hit his brother or whatever. Like, maybe he did, but they're still just kids. Like, you need to calm yourself down before you go in there. If you need anything, I'm just right down there, like 50 yards. So come get me. All right. And he's like, no, I appreciate it. Whatever. So then as I'm walking back, I'm walking back to camp, walking back to our fire pit. I get there and no one's at our fire pit. There was like 12 to 15 people there when I left. They're all gone. I notice they're all like hiding in the trees. They had like, sneaked up to listen and watch me get my butt kicked by this guy. And then like about 10 seconds after that, I hear my name. I hear my wife, Lindsay, going, Ryan. She's yelling. Oh, she thought I was like tied up and gagged in this guy's trailer. She was like going up to like open the door to the trailer. She's yelling, Ryan, Ryan. She thought I had like been murdered or beat up or something. And she's going up to save me now out of this trailer. So I'm like, Lindsay? Well, like, I'm down here by our cab. And she comes down and she's mad at me for whatever reason. But I just thought it was funny because instead of like, coming to have my back, they're like hiding to see like if I get kidnapped or whatever. But luckily, the story has a good ending. I mean, other than he probably went home and yelled at his kids and hopefully didn't beat them. I mean, that was the biggest thing. I mean, in those situations, you don't know what to do because, again, I'm not trying to bring harm onto those kids. I'm trying to like take the abuse myself. But I don't know. I don't know if you're just supposed to leave that. But I just knew that I couldn't leave it the way it was going. And I know if I was out of control like that, I would want someone to step in and calm me down. Right. So that's what I did. I don't know. Like I said, how to tie that into lighting other than maybe just, do what's right. If you feel like something's right in the world, then do it, and if it means going the extra mile with a lighting job or telling a customer no, and you're not going to work with them because you feel like they're just not your fit, like whatever it is, I don't know. I just felt like prompted that I should share that story. It was kind of funny in the end because my wife thought I got beat up and was handcuffed and like dragged into this trailer. It was going to be on Dateline instead of What Would You Do? But I don't know. I don't know what you would do. So looks like Paul says Andy would beat him up. All right. So I don't know which Andy, but maybe Andy's on. Andy Thomas. I don't know. So I'd share that with you guys just because I don't know. I feel like sharing and use it to your however you want in your lighting business. But I just thought I should share it because you never know, man. I just feel like it was for me it was the right place at the right time to go stand up for these kids. And I was willing, I guess, to take a black eye for him. I don't know. I'm glad the guy didn't do it. And he actually said something to me. He's like, hey, man, I appreciate you not flexing on me, bro. So that's kind of a term that my friends and I use now. Don't flex on me, bro. But I definitely wasn't flexing on him. I was just trying to help him out, help his kids out. So don't flex on me, bro. All right. So I guess it's that time. What we're going to do is do a little breakaroo. And then when we come back, we're going to welcome my guest for the week, Mr. Anthony Bogdanovich, owner of California Outdoor Lighting and Imagine Lighting Co. So we'll ask him about the different companies and all his experience in the lighting industry. So really excited. We'll be back in just a minute.
Are you tired of working dawn to dusk 7 days a week and still struggling? Working hard isn't your issue. What you need to focus on is the business side of your business. That's where Profits Unlimited comes in. With our 42 years of experience in the industry, we have faced the challenges you are going through. We can help you with bidding, contracts, marketing, selling, and much more. Check us out at profitsrus.com. That's profitsareus.com when you are ready to earn what you deserve. And don't forget, tune into Profit Time at 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Remember, profit is not a dirty word.
Lawn and landscape pros need to keep their competitive edge, and the easiest way to do that is by attending GIE Plus Expo this October 20th through the 22nd. There's only one word to describe the biggest action-packed experience in the outdoor equipment industry. Wow! Over 1,000 indoor exhibits wall-to-wall with innovative products and the latest technology. Talk face-to-face with the engineers that design your favorite equipment. Then step outside and dive into the hands-on demo area where you can drive, dig, and compare equipment to your heart's delight. This year, the wow gets even bigger with the new UTV test track, the hands-on drone zone, and free parking. Free parking! Register now at GIE-Expo.com, and we'll see you in Louisville, Kentucky this October.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty, tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
it's time to welcome back to Lighting for Profits. And I want to welcome to the studio Mr. Anthony Bogdanovich. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine, Ryan. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing great. If I could figure out how to actually produce this show eventually, I'll be doing even better. But right now I'm doing pretty good.
Well, you know what? I've been listening for the last, actually almost since the start, man. I'm really impressed with what you got going. It's not easy, and you're trying to be a pioneer here, and you're doing a really good job. So be proud of yourself.
Thanks, man. I really do appreciate that because, I'm a regular person too. I have self-doubt, even though I tell you guys don't ever have self-doubt. I've got it too. You know what I mean? So it's always good to get support from your peers and people that you respect. So thanks, man.
Oh, well, you and I have had lots of interesting conversations, right? It all takes, just getting to know each other. And I really when we met each other last week at the Sterling event too, and I got to meet you in person, you see a different side of each other when, you're actually in person as opposed to talking on the phone or, through emails. And, so it's good stuff. And, you should just keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry about what other people say. And, you're going to do just fine.
Cool, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. And you mentioned Sterling. It was fun hanging out. I don't know, when I started this, this coaching program, it's all online. It's too hard to go around and meet everybody in person. But I've gone to 2 or 3 events now where I've actually been able to meet you guys in person. And it's so good, because on our weekly calls and stuff, I don't know how much time to spend just hanging out. I want to be respectful of people's time. So it's if people are showing up to learn, I want to teach, but it's also important to build relationships and stuff. So I like going to these events and getting to know people on a, where we're not feeling pressured, no, I got to be learning all the time. No, we can just go to dinner, get a drink and have some fun,
Well, it's funny that you use that word relationships because people don't realize how important that is in this business and in any business. You know what I mean? I think I'm not in the business of lighting. I'm in the business of building relationships. And I actually tell my clients that too. When we do a job for somebody, it's not just we're doing it and it's done with, we talk about maintenance and, it grows in a lot of other things. So you kind of they become a part of our family and we become a part of theirs. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, I know. They don't realize that. I don't think when they're buying landscape lighting that this isn't just a one-time deal. We're going to get to know each other. Hopefully, your best clients you've gotten to know and you get repeat business and referrals and hanging out every once in a while.
Well, it depends on the client too, obviously. But, what I think we sell is an experience more than anything else. What I think is really important about this is, and what I really like to do is when I go to somebody's house and we're talking about their property, I get excited and I want them to feel excited. You know what I mean? When they see their home done the first time, the way it can be done, and you see that relief on their face, and it's I made the right decision. It feels good, So it's all part of what we're doing.
So where did that passion come from for you? We've all got different stories on how we got started, but where did you fall in love with lighting?
Well, I fell in lighting, just kind of fell on me. You know what I mean? Like most of us, I didn't go to school to learn about lighting or design or anything like that. I went to school to be an accountant, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? That was the route I thought I'd go. But, when it comes to passion, I've always been passionate about anything in my life. I'm the kind of person, you should always give 110% effort. You know what I mean? It's like that Mamba mentality, Kobe Bryant, that's those kind of people who, it doesn't matter what you do, you apply yourself way better than just the average. You know what I mean? It's that kind of mentality that kind of sets you apart from your competition in this business and just in everything in general. So, I don't care I had jobs doing, all kinds of different things before I did this. And, I just always wanted to be the best at it. You know what I mean? So, lighting, when I first got into it, it was 17 years ago, 2004, I was working at a medical company and I was there for 3 years and I ran operations and I learned a lot about the American healthcare system. And let's just say, I'm not going to go down that road, but it's an interesting situation and I just couldn't stomach it anymore. You know what I mean? So I just ended up and leaving. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Really?
Yeah. It's just, I made a lot of money at that job. I was well off. I could have stayed there, and I can only think how much easier my life would be now if I would have taken that road. You know what I mean? But for me, if I'm going to spend that much time doing something, I'd like to enjoy it because it just got to the point where I went to work and I felt sick. You know what I mean? That's no way to live, especially if you can do that for the rest of your life. So one of my roommates from college, he started this little franchise doing Christmas lights. So this was 2004. This was new. Internet was still kind of new, you know what I mean? So they were like the first company who had like any kind of like national presence on what they were trying to do. And they needed installers. So he was based out of San Diego. I went down there for like a training thing with him. And, you know, it seemed like it was a lot of fun. So I'm like, you know, I'm going to give this a shot. And my first season, it was an interesting one. I mean, I actually saw more money in that period of time, you know, in a short period of time than I ever did in, you know, working for anybody else. But then at the end of the day, after I paid all my expenses and realized that I got to pay for, you know, tools and equipment, I'm like, fuck, I didn't make any money. You know what I mean? So it was a learning experience, but it's actually what turned me on to landscape lighting. And I'm very thankful for it too, because that's where my passion is. Like the permanent lighting that we do, when you can take a space and transform it to a way that it just feels like right. You know, it's a wonderful feeling. So, you know, from some of those Christmas light clients that I had, some of them had landscape lighting, and one of them came up to me and said, "Man, I have all these broken lights in my yard. You did such a good job with the Christmas lights. Can you fix this for me?" And it was all broken, corroded, rusted. I'm like, well, let me see what I can do. So I made some phone calls, and I ended up contacting people at Cast Lighting, because I forget how I got one of the gentleman's cards from that company, and had a frank conversation with him, told him like what the situation was, and they were actually doing an installation. He flew me out to Phoenix, and I did an installation in Arizona with the hard dirt. And this was my first experience with lighting. It was like a 25 light job, and it took us like 2 days to do it just because of how hard the dirt was. It was absolutely insane. So those guys that work in Arizona, I feel for you. You know what I mean? It's torturous, you know, but I was able to learn a lot. And I've always had a passion for art. Before I did this, I was in the music. I'm gifted in a way where something's just coming easy to me. Like when I started playing the drums when I was 14 years old, like within the first 2 weeks, I was able to play like every Metallica song. You know what I mean? Like I was the kind of guy it just came naturally to me. I could never read music. You know what I mean? I didn't know anything about that, but I could feel it. You know what I mean? And lighting was kind of the same way for me. So when I got into it and I saw what I was able to create, I was like, wow, this seems really fun. So I went back, and that first job ended up being like 125 lights. And this is you know, and it was halogen. So we had like 4 transformers, and it was like all zoned out. I mean, it was hard. I did the installation myself, and it took me like 3 weeks because I didn't really know what I was doing. You know what I mean? But that first time we did the nighttime reveal and I turned it on, the way with the look in their face, that's what sealed the deal for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So after that, I just threw myself into it. It's like I would just be there day and night, setting different up stuff, you know, trying different things. And I really tried to learn my best just from actually doing, you know what I mean? I've read certain books, you know, Janet Moyer's book was definitely always a great point of reference when it came to good design. I really, you know, when it comes down to not seeing the source, you see what you're trying to light, you know, those aspects of lighting are really set the scene. So, I mean, I really enjoyed that. And now I just apply it every day.
Well, 17 years, man, you're doing something right. And I know you've won a lot of awards too. So I didn't know who you were until, I don't even know if you know this, but yeah, there's some of them right there. Like, I mean, that tells me that you take it serious and you're out there to do it right. And the way I found out about you was actually when you rebranded. So I don't know if you know this, but I was like reaching out to different companies on Instagram. This is when I was still had my business and stuff. And Instagram was how I found you. And I was like, holy cow, dude, this guy's got his shit together. Like your branding was on point. The pictures were on point. Like it looked good. And you can tell the difference between someone who takes their business seriously, that's going to last 17 plus years, and the fly by night who might make it 2-3 years, you know?
Well, you know, I appreciate that. And I love what I do. You know what I mean? I think that makes all the difference in the world. When you love what you do and you really don't work. I mean, that is a true statement. And like I go and, I mean, sometimes a bitch doing nighttime adjustments, but I went the other night to go do some adjustments in Manhattan Beach. And I'm at this house and we're outside and we're looking at my art. Okay. And this is like, they were so absolutely enamored. And come to find out, we go inside, they're going to write me a check for, you know, the balance that was due. As soon as I walk in the door, this lady had this sculpture of Atlas that she actually made herself. And I mean, it was probably, I don't know, 5 feet tall, and it was set up on a pedestal, like right in the entrance of their home. And I was just enamored by it. I'm like, wow, where did you get that? And she told me she made it. And I was like, are you kidding me? She's like, I made every piece of art inside here. I did the paintings, and I ended up spending like an hour in their home. They opened a bottle of wine. The next thing you know, we're sitting there and she's talking about her art for the next hour. And it was like one of my favorite experiences. You know what I mean? Like, how awesome is they brought me in their house and I didn't know these people. And it's like, you know, my light, the art that I do with my lighting, like, and now here we are talking about what she does. And just to see, you know, the process, I'm like, wow, that's just amazing. So it's like those kinds of opportunities really, you know, kind of set it apart. So when you can do that, why wouldn't you love what you do? You know what I mean? Like, I don't go to work. The hardest part about this is running a business. And, you know, when it comes down to it, it's been 17 years, but I've only really progressed probably mostly in the last 4. You know, like before that, I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs in this business, you know what I mean, for anybody.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, like, you know how many times like I was going to call it quits. I'm like, this is too hard, you know, between employees and, you know, trying to manage everything. And the Christmas season is actually what kills me the most because that's what's the most demanding. And, you know, that's also why I separated these businesses. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
well, let me ask you this.
Sure.
What do you think? Like you said, because we all go through like what you just explained, like you start and you do your own thing and then all of a sudden a decade goes by. But what was it that was 4 years ago, or the last few years, that you're just like, okay, no, something's got to change? Was it just that you got tired of it and was to the point where you're either going to quit or change, or what was it?
You couldn't have said it any better, because it was just one of those moments. I'm like, I had some guys that were working during the holiday season, and at the worst timing, like all this bad stuff happened. 2 of them ended up leaving like right the day before we were supposed to do an install for a huge job, and it just put me in a bind. And I was so fed up. Like, I'm so sick of this. But then I realized, I started looking, it's like, you know, I was blaming them, but then I realized I didn't look in the mirror. You know what I mean? And that's when I realized, it's like, what my major problem is, I expect everybody to kind of have the same kind of passion and drive as me. But the thing is I'm not giving them the environment to kind of create that passion either. So I looked at myself, and it all came down to what I wanted to do was be a better leader. You know what I mean? For me to be able to sustain, and it's not just for the fact that I guess it also came down, there's 2 roads I can go down. I mean, I'm 44 now. I was 27 when I started this business. I don't want to be doing tree lighting when I'm 55 years old. You know what I mean? I don't. So either I find people who can help me do this kind of work and, you know, develop this company, or it's eventually going to fizzle and it's just going to die like a lot of people's companies do. Now, I've invested a lot of time in this. I mean, over the years, there's a reputation involved. Like, that's another reason when it comes down to the branding, is like, there's value here. You know, our company should be more than just us, you know, and that's what I kind of realized more than anything else is, if we don't kind of look at what we want to do and where we want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we're just going day to day. And next thing you know, that time has passed and you're in the same spot. So I looked at myself and like, where do I need to go for me to be where I want to be in 5 years and 10 years? You know, and really it just kind of boils down to, the only way for me to succeed was to grow, you know? And so I kind of looked at everything we do, and I looked at myself mainly and the kind of person that I am. You know, this is landscape lighting. We're not heart surgeons, you know, we're not doctors. We're not going to save the world. So doesn't mean we shouldn't give 110% effort on every job that we do, but we should be able to have fun while we do it. And when like our customers see our guys, like, we have fun, you know, my guys, when they're installation, they're laughing, you know, I mean, everybody enjoys that culture. And we said it comes from the top, you know, and it goes all the way down. And we want everybody to feel like they're valued here, and, you know, that they're a part of it, you know, and, you know, as we continue to grow, that there's going to be room for them to grow as well too. So, I mean, this is all things that I've learned in the last 4 years. You know what I mean? Before that, I was just, you know, doing the same thing. And, you know, it's kind of crazy because it's like I hit that plateau. So when I hit that plateau, either I'm going to stay there, I'm going to fall off, or I'm going to hit the next level. But the goal is to not plateau again. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to learn as much as I can so I can continue to be a better leader, inspire the people that work for us, and we'll go from there.
Cool, man. No, I love the direction this conversation is going. And we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, I want to ask you about like what's the next move? You know, what's the next needle mover for you in your business, and who's your next hire and stuff like that. So just stick around and we'll be right back, guys, with Anthony Bogdanovich. I got some nice California tunes on for you.
There's more to landscape lighting than just throwing a fixture under a tree. The best display is one that was not only designed well, but also stands the test of time. High-quality fixtures and bulbs are key to long-term success and customer happiness. At Emery Allen, our focus is on creating only the highest performance landscape bulbs in the industry, with long-lasting components that don't degrade or flicker with age. Each bulb's appearance is always consistent throughout your lighting project. We offer a wide range of base types, beam spreads, and color choices that will fit your needs. To learn more, give us a call at 843-480-4473 or email us at info@emeryallen.com.
Isn't it nice when the weather cooperates and crews complete jobs on time and on budget? But weather can cause delays, and with paper route sheets, jobs get lost in the shuffle. That's why you need Aspire Crew Control scheduling software, an easy-to-use, flexible, and affordable solution that allows you to shift schedules with a single click. Try Aspire Crew Control for free at aspirecrewcontrol.com.
Hey, this is Jeff Hester, senior contributor and co-host of the Weekend Review here on Turfs Up Radio. Can't make it to major green industry events, but want to stay connected? Don't worry, we have you covered. Be sure to download the Turfs Up Radio app or visit our website. We'll bring you the live coverage you need to keep you up to date with everything that happens in our industry. And to find out where we'll be next, simply visit greenindustryevents.com. That's greenindustryevents.com. And always remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
All right, welcome back to Lighting for Profits, presented by Emery Allen here on Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station. How's that? All right, guys, welcome back. Anthony, I'm loving this conversation about going from operator to owner. As you know, one of my goals in life now is to help as many people as possible get to that point. It's not a perfect process. I got to there to an extent, but again, my journey wasn't perfect and my scenario wasn't perfect. And a lot of people are discouraged because they're like, how can I go to the next level if I haven't even perfected where I'm at now, right? And that holds people back from hiring their next person and everything else. But I guess I want to pick your brain a little bit. What's your next move? Who's your next hire? I know I'm always trying to get people to replace themselves, and it takes 4 or 5 hires. So who's that next hire for you?
Well, fortunately, I still wear way too many hats, and that's what I am trying to alleviate. And, what I'd like to do more than anything else is just design. And to do that, I got to bring in a lot more people. And what we're focused on right now, we have a few ads out, but we always need to bring on good installers. That is the hardest thing to find right now, is people who can show up, care about what they need to do, and, be just a good steward of the company. You know what I mean? We all have a face that we have to put out. A part of our brand, it starts with them as well, too, so we need good representatives. And one thing that I think has always been lacking for me is what we do with our marketing. I mean, it's few and far between. That's the one thing, honestly, it's killing us. And not enough people, it doesn't matter how much good work we do. If nobody sees it, they don't know it exists. So that's something that we're really focusing on. So I'm bringing on somebody here, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, to help really focus on our marketing efforts. We really want to take this digital age and what you're doing by storm. Same kind of situation. The fact that I'm not producing more videos and putting out all this content consistently when we have all this content we can produce, the only reason we're not is because I can't do it all. So that's something that I'm really focused on. And ultimately, I want to bring on somebody to take on more of like a general manager here in the next year as well, too, to have them oversee the operations and the marketing, and the sales aspect. Hopefully we'll bring on a salesman before that, but I want to go ahead and have somebody just kind of have like a bigger overall picture of this company, so I can go back into doing just more design. Now, for me to do that, it's requiring a lot more structure. And that's another thing that I've been learning over the last few years, is how I need to structure my company to be able to continue to grow.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult process, and it's a learning process. And that's why I go to events like, the Sterling, event that we had a couple weeks ago. And, I don't know if anybody knows Jerry McKay, but, he does the summit. That's a great opportunity to not just learn about lighting, to learn about business, and there's a lot of people out there who want to help other people succeed as well, too. There's a lot of groups out here, and what you're doing with the secrets is fantastic. I mean, honestly, it was an eye opener for me, too, because when I joined your program, it was the same situation. Just because I was taking the steps, I mean, I can only learn so much by myself, and it's like taking a little bit of a fast track. When you put out your program, it's like, hey, I looked at where I was, and a lot of the places where I had holes, you had answers for them. And a lot of them made a lot of sense. You know what I mean? Not everything that is in your program I apply. Okay. And, we all have a different style in the way we do things too. Yeah. But overall, the course is fantastic because it really lets you dial in and focus on the things that you should be looking at in your business. Because a lot of people don't do that. Like Tom Grandy is a great resource as well too. Like, we've had a few from the AOLP when he was there, and we have all these people who can really help us, to the guys who have no business acumen. I mean, I had no business acumen. I worked for other people my whole life. I didn't know what it was like to start a business, but I'm glad I had the background that I did, and it continues to learn until you really understand though, what it costs you to run your business. You're not going to succeed. So that's like where we're at more than anything else, is really kind of dialing in these processes so we can be efficient enough to continue to grow, but we still have fun doing it.
Yeah, man. No, I thank you for the kind comments about my program and stuff. Thank you. It means a lot. I want to hit on one thing you said was about marketing and getting that word out. Like, there's a lot of talented people in this industry that are not talented in those areas that you mentioned. And so like, you can be the best designer, the best installer, maybe even the best boss, right? But if people don't know about you, then you're not really, I mean, you might be the best, but like, you can't make an impact on the world, So that's why I'm so passionate about teaching pricing and sales and marketing, because those are things that will help you get to the next level. They'll help you go from operator to owner and stuff like that. So I'm grateful for our relationship and your involvement in the program, because it's cool to see, even in the last year, sometimes we don't feel like we're progressing that much, because like I've seen other people in the program too, they'll hire someone and then like 2 months later, they're like, damn, I lost my sales guy. And then they kind of start doubting like the whole thing. Like, should I even do this? And should I just go get another job, all that? But it's almost like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but you're always moving forward. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful that you're willing to share and be open and honest with this stuff, because I think it's going to help a lot of people to know that it's not just a flip of a switch. It takes time. It takes a journey. You know what I mean? So thanks for sharing that.
Well, you know what? We should all be learning till the day we die. I'm going to be honest with you. You know what I mean? And we should always, just for our own, self-being too, is like that mentality that I was talking about, that applies not just to our business, but in life. You know what I mean? I want to also be the best father I could to my kids. You know what I mean? I want to be able to be the best husband of my, to my wife. Everything, what it all comes down to is how much effort you're willing to put. The more effort you put in it to your business, people see that. They gravitate towards it. They want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? That's why it's like, you don't know how many times I go and I give a bid to people and like, man, you're the most expensive guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to pay this, but I want you to do it because I feel what you feel when you're there. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what it means. It all boils down to is they see that and people feed off that energy, and it's all energy. We put out, whatever we put out is what's going to come back. And trust me, I've hit my ruts too. It's like, man, you get a couple no's and, it snowballs. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck, you start doubting yourself on all this stuff. And that's where I was a few years ago before I took the step. And if I didn't take that step, I wouldn't be where I am now. And I'm happier now than I've ever been, because I feel now I've accomplished more in the last 4 years to be a good example for my kids. Like, you got to understand something. My parents, like, I'm first generation, U.S. citizen here. My parents came from what was Yugoslavia back in the 70s. Okay. Grew up in socialism, absolutely insane. Between both my parents, they got a 6th grade education. Okay. My dad made it through 4 years of school. My mom too. She had to get pulled out of school to clean fish, okay, in the cannery when she was fucking 9 years old. You know what I mean? This was her life, okay? She had 6 sisters. They had 1 pair of shoes, okay? So they can only go out one at a time. So this is the example that I saw. And guess what? My dad came to this country. He had nothing. I think he had maybe $50 in his pocket. He worked his ass off, and he was able to put both his boys through college. He bought a home. You know what I mean? The American dream is live and well. And I want to go ahead and I take that example and I live it every day. And I push myself even harder because of that, because I want my kids to do even better than me, So that's what it all kind of comes down to.
What a stud, man. I don't have a mic drop sound, but.
Well, what all boils down to is we're all here to do the best we can. We can either fight everything or, we can try to be positive, So I take a lot of that to heart. It's been the last year with everything you see that goes on in this country. It's sad because people don't realize, you know what I mean? Like we have it good here, and as long as we work together, we can accomplish anything.
We have it so good here, man. I'm so proud to be an American, and it does make me mad when people are talking trash and it's like, yeah, there's shit to complain about. That's fine. But I mean, this country is amazing. So, and it's cool to hear your story. So inspirational, and it's kudos to your parents and kudos to you, man. Like, just imagine the example that you're setting to your kids, and what impact they're going to have on this world. So freaking awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that.
Well, I hope so. I mean, the jury's still out. You know what I mean? They're only 11 and 4. I have plenty of time to fuck them up. You know what I mean?
Just don't be that guy that's pounding on the trailer and I have to come calling you.
I'm already that guy. Give me 3 vodka tonics and I'm that guy. No,
there may have been an alcoholic factor there. I'm not sure, but I'm just glad I didn't die that night. But
no, that was a great story. And you're asking, what would you do? I mean, I do the same thing. You got to de-escalate the situation. And this is what I mean too. It's like you got people who are doers and people who are watchers. You know what I mean? I'd rather be a doer. Like, funny story, Catalina Express. A long time ago, I used to work on the boats that go to Catalina Express. You know what I mean? Like the Catalina Island and back. Awesome job when you're in your young 20s. I'm telling you, it's great times. But, we're deckhands. So, people on the boat moves. Old lady fell one time, and she cracked her head bad. You know what I mean? We had 4 deckhands on the boat. 3 of them standing around. I was the last one on the scene. I'm the first one running up, getting something to, stop the bleeding and, and really kind of handle the situation. I'm telling them, go get the captain, go ahead, tell them to call 911. So as soon as we get to the boat, there'll be an ambulance there for her. Everybody else is standing around. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Either you're a doer or you're not. So I'm glad to be a doer. I'm glad that you're a doer. It comes down to temperament. You know what I mean? And sometimes when you're a doer, you put yourself at risk. Doing this kind of stuff, we put ourselves at risk every day. It's like, we run a business, we go out of business just as easy as we start a business.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because every time I reach a new level, I'm like, shit, is this going to be where I mess up? And this is going to be our downwards fall. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of think about that. So, but keep doing it at the same time.
Well, you're at one of those levels right now. I want to ask you about Glow. And Glow is one of those things where it's like, there's not a lot of people that would, even know how to put a contract together for this type of project, and let alone,
I didn't know how.
well, let alone if they did figure it, not a lot of people would be willing to try this, right? And so tell us about Glow. Last year was the first year. This year's even bigger, but tell us, what is Glow? How did you get this thing and what it's all about?
Glow is just one of those interesting opportunities that came from building relationships. And this what all boils down to is build those relationships, because you never know what's going to happen. So 2 years ago, I met Mary Lynn Mack, who is the COO of the South Coast Botanic Garden. Now she's actually the president of the entire garden foundation for the United States. She's really? One of those. Yeah, she's a very impressive woman, and she's one of those people who moved the needle. She was the one who actually took the gardens in Phoenix and actually elevated it to, the national treasure it is now. I mean, it was a dump before she came there. And that's actually why they brought her to the South Coast Garden before as well, too. It's 88 amazing acres of space. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous, but you would never know it's even there. So that's why they brought her on, So ultimately, she contacted us a couple years ago. Not that we had an employee who was like, somebody kind of doing sales. So a connection was made, and we talked about doing some landscape lighting for like a few of the art pieces that they have around the building. So we put together a bid, and she wanted to go ahead and move forward with that. So it was a small little situation. There's just going to be a few little spaces, a few lights here and there. Well, then COVID happened, and it shut everything down. She basically said, like, listen, we don't know what's going to happen. We're not going to do anything right now. Apologize. It is what it is. So, okay, about 2 months later, she calls me up. She's like, hey, I have an interesting proposition for you. And she just started talking about, like, what do you think about doing a holiday show? But she doesn't want a holiday show. She doesn't want it to be like a Christmas light show. She doesn't want it to be, Christmas trees and wreaths and garlands. She doesn't want anything to feel like Christmas. She wants a light show. So she wants not a show, because we actually had to call it an art exhibit, because you can't have any shows because of COVID, right? She, and this is a true story. Like, at that time, she'd found out, like, all the other major gardens that put on, like, pretty significant shows were all basically shutting down for the year, because everybody was worried about COVID. How are they going to manage this? So she came to me and asked, listen, can you put together a program have us to have so many people walk through this facility? So we had lots of meetings, and we talked about a route, and we ended up making like a singular route that people can walk through. That was like about a half mile long. And in that half mile, I mean, we talked about, like, there's like 900 low voltage color changing lights. We had a couple miles of, Christmas lights that were done in a unique way. And it was all like themed to water. So, and I mean, any space you were in, there was music that kind of carried you through the space too. It was actually a really cool situation. So we put it all together, and, she is the kind of person who really wants to push forward, and she saw the opportunity and she made it happen. We put it together, and it was very hard. I mean, it took us about a month to put it all together. I mean, we had to bring in generators because we didn't have power where we needed it, but ultimately we made an extremely successful show. And they had like a max capacity of 800 people a night. They sold 96% of the tickets and had over 40,000 people go through there. It was awesome. You know what I mean? And
crazy.
What was cool is I was there practically every night for like the first month anyway. I mean, that was my baby. You have no idea to like the way it made me feel when I was walking through there, because if you look at that space and you go there, like, and you just see how expansive it is, and what we were able to do there was absolutely beautiful. Like, I was so proud of my guys. I mean, the first day we walked through when it was actually open, at the end of it, I broke down, you know what I mean? I started crying right there because it was a very proud moment for me. You know what I mean? So that was awesome. And it ran every single night. I think we had a couple instances where we had like a couple little glitches where it went out for a few minutes, but nothing major. You know what I mean? It ran successfully the whole length of the show. So it was fantastic. And this year, you know, we knew after the fact, she's, oh man, that was awesome. And the garden was able to profit over $1 million, you know, from the event in a short period of time. It was like the biggest event that they have ever had at that location to date. Since then, they've done 3 other events. They have a butterfly pavilion that this actually helped pay for as well too. And now they're having something called a Disco Oasis, which is an amazing event. That's like a roller rink that they brought into their old like river rink. And all this basically is all stemming from Glow. You know what I mean? Because now it's like they figured, you know, this is a great space and we're going to utilize it. And she's brilliant. Mary Lynn is absolutely brilliant. And if it wasn't for her, this never would have happened. And it was just that relationship. So this year, because every other garden's back online, and it's like now there's competition. Well, you know, so it can't be the same show it was last year. So, I mean, we're upping up the ante big time. I mean, we're bringing in, you know, we're doing projection mapping. We're doing like a lot of different things that we've never done before. And I'm a little nervous about it, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm learning about new technology that I've never used. And, you know, we've hired a lot of people to kind of help with that as well too. And it's going to be something absolutely amazing if we can pull it off. I mean, there's a lot of danger involved with this for me too, because if we don't pull it off, you know, it's going to kick me in the ass, you know, but I really have a lot of faith in myself and the guys that we're putting on something that's going to be amazing. And they're hoping to have 100,000 people to come through there this year.
Dude,
So
that's awesome.
So, I mean, I really do hope that, you know, I mean, we're already working on it now. If you went in the back in our warehouse, I mean, the amount of fabrication that's going back on there, like, I mean, it's absolutely insane. I mean, it's really exciting. We're running out of room, you know? So, you know, it's been a growing process, and I really do like the challenge. It's like, you know, this is a different level. Before, you know, when we do lighting, you know, it's for the customer, you know, it's for one person. Okay. Now it's for everybody. That first month that I was there, it's like, we had this one part called the river. we had, different music that was going through, we had some like Van Morrison. And I shit you not, the people that went through there, they were so happy. Like to see couples holding hands and, fathers dancing with their kids, and everybody's still worried about COVID, you know what I mean? And everybody's sitting there and they felt normal. Like you could see they felt normal, you know what I mean? Like this wasn't going on, at least for that little bit, and dude, it felt so good. You know what I mean? And I can't wait to do it again. I mean, I'm really excited for this year.
I love it, man. Well, there's a lot to love about your story, that story. I mean, I love, but a couple things really stick out is the relationships. I mean, you've built obviously great relationships. That whole job. I mean, can you imagine that lady, if she didn't know you, is she going to trust you with a project that size with you going, I don't know all the answers, So the relationship was key there. And then two, the fact that you were willing to take that risk. I mean, again, most people just aren't willing to do that. And then they wonder like why they can't get ahead in life and why they can't get to that next level. So listen, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to be a business owner, you've got to be willing to take those risks, and you've done it. So congrats to you, man.
I appreciate that. Now, we continue to push ourselves. It's like, but it's funny because when it rains, it pours. It's like, that's all going on right now. I'm like, and the phone, now that we've actually put up some of the marketing plan, certain things like doing direct mail and making sure that our social media presence is a little bit better, and making sure that our Google My Business profile is optimized. Those little things make all the difference in the world. They really do. And it's nervous because it's like, okay, now we're getting to where things are just getting pushed back a little bit further than I'd like to. So there's challenges with every business. We're going to continue to do it and push forward, man. And I'm really excited for what's going to happen this year. We'll see.
Yeah, and Glow is happening this year. It's going to be like, I don't know. I mean, you'd say it's going to be twice as big. I know that it's going to be twice as. It's going to be awesome. So we know that
it's going to be a way different show. I believe it starts November 19th and runs through January 19th or something like that too. I don't have the confirmed dates yet, but it's going to run, I believe, like 55 days. So every day but Christmas, and it's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of work. But yeah, I mean, we're really going to boot, and it's going to be a sight to see. That's for sure.
All right, man. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for being here. I'm up against a time deadline, but if someone wants to get in touch with you, what's your website? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, our website's California Outdoor Lighting, and I'm Anthony at California Outdoor Lighting. Anybody can email me. I do like to see people do good work, and if people have questions about lighting, I'm happy to answer. Like some things you just see, and I have a feeling for it, and I'm happy to share whatever I can with anybody who wants to listen.
All right, dude. Well, seriously, man, thanks so much for taking the time out of your day. I know you are busy. I appreciate you coming on here and doing this with me. And I do have to take a break, and then I'll finish with my lighting tip of the week. But thanks so much, Anthony. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll talk to you later, Ryan.
All right.
Have a good day.
Hey, guys, stick around. We'll be right back with my lighting tip of the week before we end up the show.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, 1 yard at a time.
Hey, everybody, it's Brooke Ford, host of The Green Veteran here on Turf's Up Radio. Be sure to check me out every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. You're going to hear some great one-on-one interviews with green industry professionals. We're going to talk about best business practices, highlight innovative products, and also provide some insight into some new emerging technologies in the field. That's The Green Veteran, airing each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And remember, Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Attention all pros. When you leave a deal with your clients, Don't leave money on the table. Join Turfs Up Nation today and partner with pros all across the country who can help you make more money for your services that are related to your project. Landscapers need plumbers, and pool installers need hardscapers, and every combination in between. Turfs Up Nation is free. Your information is secure, and you'll be connected with other pros in the industry who want to do business with you. And not to mention property owners who need help with everything. If you think your clients don't need you and the connections you have, think again. Join TurfsUpNation.com today and start putting more money in your pocket for services you never knew you could. Just remember to sign up for this free service. Go to TurfsUpNation.com.
All right, welcome back to Lighting for Profits here on Turfs Up Radio, presented by Emery Allen. Here on Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station. Man, that was gold, you guys. I love this show, of course, because, you know, I run it. But it's awesome. Like the guests that we have on here and them sharing their wisdom, their experiences. I mean, if you don't draw inspiration from that, then I don't know who can help you. But that was really, really good. I want to end the show real quickly by sharing a lighting tip of the week. Now, most of my lighting tips of the week are like around business and stuff like that. And people think that I only know about business, but I'm really excited to share my lighting tip of the week this week, which is actually about lighting. It's about design. And I was at the Sterling event a couple weeks ago. They had a design challenge and separated us into a few different groups. And the group that I was in, we were doing some down lighting out of trees, some moon lighting through the canopies and stuff. And someone actually brought out a plant from inside. It was a plant, and they're like, no, let's do it. Let's do a shadow on this wall. I thought this is a great idea. So they brought the plant and we set it outside, and then we aimed a light through it on the wall. And this, I was like proud of myself. So yes, I'm bragging about myself right now because again, I've got a lot of business stuff that I share about landscape lighting, but it feels good to also know other stuff like installation and design and stuff like this. So I shared with them something that is a really cool lighting tip, a lighting design tip. And I want to share that with you guys. So basically what it is this. We had a spotlight on it. They had a spotlight shining on the tree and put this really cool shadow on the wall. And I said, hey, one thing that will really help that pop more is if we make the lens as wide as possible. So we took out the lens. I think we just took it out. And so it was like a 170 degree lens or something like that. Or we put in 120. I don't remember. But I said, the wider we get it, the more crisp it's going to be, that shadow. And they're like, really? I would think it'd be the opposite. I said, well, let's do it. So we take it out and put it on that fixture, on that plant. And I'm telling you, that thing just popped. I mean, the crisp edge on that shadow. So that's my lighting. That's one of my tips. Okay, I'm going to do two. One is make sure that you do as wide angle as possible if you want crisp, clean edges on your shadowing techniques, right? And I'm telling you, put a spotlight on it and then a wash light, and you'll see the difference. Like you go with the wash light, and it just becomes very, very defined edge, and it makes it just really, really pop. So see, I know more about design. It's not just business with me. And then the other thing on the downlights, I realize not everyone knows this, is when you're doing a downlight through a canopy, yes, you want it to be, light requires distance. So you want it to be up a little bit higher so that the light can spread out. But you also want to make sure that it's going through and filtering through some leaves and some limbs and things like that. But more importantly, you want it to be straight down. So you don't really ever want it aimed at any type of angle, because then if you're walking one direction or another, you're going to see that spotlight in your face, and you're going to see that hot spot, that glare bomb, where we're really just trying to see not see the source. We're just trying to see the effect of the light. So that's kind of my thing, is on the wider beam, the better for shadows, and downlight straight down. And then kind of as a third one, I'm going to throw in a third one there for the lighting tip of the week, is go ahead and design the landscaping around the lighting. I mean, the fact that this guy brought out a plant from inside was genius, right? If there's not a good thing that you can do with lighting, then change the landscape. And you don't always have to like bring a plant from inside or whatever, but you can tell the people like, hey, we're going to need to extend the bed right here to allow us to put a light here. Or can you add a plant right here so I can do a shadow? Or can you add a tree right here? It's really going to add more dimension to the project, right? So don't be afraid to be a designer. Don't be afraid and feel limited to the canvas that you're dealing with. Like I modified it all the time. I would tell people, yeah, I want a tree here, or I want to make the bed bigger, or whatever it is. So don't be afraid to do that. And I promise you, your designs are going to be that much better when you actually design the lighting, design the landscaping around the lighting. because there's too many bad landscape jobs out there. So I'll just tell people like, yeah, we need this hedge gone, and I want a tree here and a tree here, and they'll do that for me. So I recommend doing that. If I were you, go ahead and do it, put it to test and see if it works. So, whew, that was a mouthful. So guys, we're pretty much at the end of the show. So I want to thank you guys again for your support. I want to thank my guest, Anthony. Thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us. I really, really appreciate it. And I want to thank Emery Allen for your partnership with myself, with Lighting for Profits and Turfs Up Radio. And wish you guys a great week. So go out there and kill it, and go make a difference in the world, and go find who your next hire is. Make your next move. Go make an imprint. I don't know. Go make a change in the world. Be a better person. All right, guys, have a good week.